Mental Health Forum, Partnerships for Sustainability Education, most especially Teacher Rochelle Razo. I feel like that I am already a staff of John Dewey School for inviting me to participate in this forum. Thank you also for those who are present today. As Teacher Rochelle said, you spent your weekend with us because we would like to thank you for your interest and participation in taking care of the youth. It truly warms my heart, being a mental health professional, knowing that people are now more mindful in taking care of their mental health. It is said that educators are people who can profoundly change one's life. Each of us has at one point in time felt how it is to be provided with warmth and comfort by our teachers. In the same breath that we have also felt how it is to dread having interactions with anxiety-provoking educators. As an educator myself, I know that sometimes I tend to reverberate between a helpful and an anxiety-provoking one, especially for the residents. No? So it is a good reminder for me as I prepare this lecture, no, to be mindful of our own role as mental health professionals and as educators. In a typical Filipino school setting, a child spends 2 to 6 hours in school per day, 5 days a week. As such, it is important for a school to provide a warm, nurturing environment balanced with structure and firmness in boundary setting. But how do we establish one? A positive school climate is one of those things that is difficult to define and measure, but everyone recognizes it when they see it. The state of the school's facilities, the tone of the conversations in the corridors, the enthusiasm of the school staff, and the way students interact during breaks are some of the things or signs that visitors can read too quickly and broadly assess a school's climate. School climate has been described as the quality and character of school life, the heart and soul of the school, and the quality of relationships among students, teachers, and school staff. Other terms used are school environment, learning environment, and school culture. School climate can be safe or unsafe, cohesive or divisive, collaborative or competitive. Above all, it is typically perceived as either positive or negative. The U.S. Department of Education defined positive school climate as the extent to which a school community creates and maintains a safe school campus, a supportive academic, disciplinary, and physical environment, and respectful, trusting, and caring relationships. In a positive school climate, students feel physically and emotionally safe. Teachers are supportive, enthusiastic, and responsive. Parents participate in school activities voluntarily. The school community is built around healthy, respectful, and cooperative relationships, and everyone looks after the school premises and works together to develop a constructive school spirit. A positive school climate can promote students' academic achievement, well-being, and self-esteem, and some of these effects persists for years. A positive climate can even mitigate the pervasive and strong link between socioeconomic status and academic achievement. Schools with safe, respectful, and caring learning environments also protect students from engaging in maladaptive behaviors such as truancy, smoking, drinking, using drugs, and other deviant and risky behaviors. Children are more likely to reach their social, emotional, and academic potential in a safe, supportive, and collaborative school environment. Students and families who feel valued are more committed to keeping their school safe and supporting codes of conduct, engaging in conflict resolution, and forming respectful, trusting relationships. A positive climate has been associated with greater student willingness to seek help for self and others and reduces the risk of school violence. When students have positive relationships with trusted adults at school, they are more likely to report emotional problems or potential threats. Teachers too can benefit from a positive school climate. Teachers in disciplined and supportive schools report higher job satisfaction and less burnout. The National School Climate Center identified 5 interrelated domains of school climate. First one is safety, including physical safety, social emotional safety, rules, and norms. This can be measured by incidents of student disruptive behavior such as bullying, disciplinary problems in the classroom, substance abuse and truancy, as well as the rules, attitudes, and school strategies related to these maladaptive behaviors. Relationships, including school connectedness and engagement, social support, leadership, respect for student diversity, and respect for different perceptions of school climate. This can be assessed by looking into student-teacher relationships, student cooperation and teamwork, parental involvement, community partnerships, and outcomes of these indicators like school attachment, sense of belonging, and engagement. Teaching and learning, including social, emotional, ethical, and civic learning, service learning, support for academic learning, support for professional relationships, and teachers' perceptions of school climate. These can be assessed by aspects of teaching such as academic support, feedback and enthusiasm, aspects of the curriculum, and indicators of teacher professional development and school leadership, such as teacher cooperation, teacher appraisal, administrative support, and the school vision. Institutional environment includes the school resources such as buildings, facilities, educational resources, and technology, and indicators of the school organization such as class size, and ability grouping. And of course, the school improvement process, including implementation of evidence-based programs. Here are some of the strategies to improve school climate. Remember that proactive approaches to school safety, including social and emotional learning, school-based mental health services, access to community service agencies, and professional development for teachers are indeed better alternative than security systems such as metal detectors or armed educators. School must have clear expectations for behavior. Teach students how to meet those expectations and acknowledge when students are doing so. Rather than highlighting the negative, we highlight and validate what is being presented, especially the positive ones. In a school with a healthy climate, teachers and staff focus on prevention. When discipline is used, it's attuned to preserving relationships and respecting students' dignity. Discipline, when doled out, should be appropriate to students' developmental stage and proportional to their behavior, taking care to ensure there are procedures for students with disabilities and that all students are disciplined following established rules. It is of utmost importance that rules be consistently enforced among all students regardless of their race, ethnicity, gender, religion, and disability state. When rules aren't applied equitably, students don't see them as fair, and if they don't think they're fair, it may challenge students to test those rules. To make sure rules are being applied consistently, educators can start by reviewing the discipline data to look for trends as well as the procedures for discipline referrals. A next step is to directly ask students, teachers, and parents, either in person or through anonymous surveys, whether they feel school rules are applied equitably and discipline is fair. Any changes to discipline policies can become a major source of friction among school staff, so it's important that the school head clearly communicate new expectations to staff and provide them with adequate training on how to implement new discipline programs. Encourage open discussion of safety issues, allow the students to feel safe by expressing their concerns and feelings, It is also imperative to know each learner taking into consideration their home setup. Okay, this is very important because in the clinics, it is one of the things that I often note of. No, you know, in our country now, the families, most of the families are strained. Okay, therefore, it's very important that you know your learners. One way of doing it is, for example, coming up with a family tree, no, that way, and then including the relationships, no. Another way is also, for example, in English, you can ask your students to write an autobiography, no? So that way you get to know them. I am teaching psychiatry in medical schools, and but when you decide not to ask them to write, please make sure that you read them thoroughly, no. At some point in time, when I ask my medical students to write their autobiographies, no, it is really very disheartening to know that a lot of them have encountered very difficult situations at such a young age, no. So please take time to know your learners. It is also early identification of students with problems can prevent escalation of disciplinary concerns. Strong relationships are the foundation of a positive school climate. Build relationship-centered schools with strong family and community engagement. Strong teacher-student relationships are essential to a positive school climate. Strong relationships not only help students feel safe and accepted, all parents, school staff, and community members, regardless of social and economic status, have an important contribution to make in improving students' education and preparation for life. Therefore, adults must interact collaboratively and sensitively to bring out the best in children. Educators must implement programs with enthusiasm and engage in authentic interactions with students and with each other. They must believe in what they are doing, enjoy forming relationships, and value educating young people, especially those who are most challenging. Children's most meaningful learning occurs through positive and supportive relationships with caring and nurturing adults. But what are some of the strategies for building relationships? Again, I will highlight, allow time to get to know each learner. In the younger levels, teachers can greet each student as they enter or leave the classroom. She can provide cues or gestures depending on how each student feel as a way to greet each other. For example, a student can give a high five to a teacher if he or she feels energetic, or a kid can hug teacher if he or she feels loved. In the higher levels, teachers can be given mentoring groups where a set of students are assigned to a particular teacher for the rest of their stay in school. This mentor will serve as their guide as they go through their entire academic life. These have been effectively used in the various medical schools which lessen the attrition rates, no? Remember that as mentors, a mentor's role is not to teach academic lessons, but actually to guide them in terms of how they will go about with life, no? This is something that we have been doing in medical schools, and in a way it's very effective to decrease attrition rates among medical students. This is also what is being done in Philippine General Hospital. For every department, as you know, it's very difficult to train to become doctors. They were already assigned wellness champions. No, we refer to them as wellness champions to guide each department, no, each time that they have problems, no, apart from even having mentoring programs. Okay. Stronger connections between teachers and students makes teachers feel like their work is more effective, and closer relationship among teachers help them feel more supported. We also recognize that the parents are children's first teachers. Positive teacher-student relationships mediated by parent involvement appear to support students' academic success. have you noticed how parents' participation dwindle as their children advance in age? No? More so when they also go down the rank. No? For example, the parents are more involved during their eldest, no? And then when you go down to the last, no, sometimes they will not even show up or ask the younger sibling to show up in behalf of the parent, no? So on one hand, it is a good thing as children are taught to be independent. But on the other hand, it makes the parents less engaged with their children's learning process. A research done by Chung et al. In 2019 found that adolescents perceived that the more their parents were involved in their learning, the more the adolescents believe they had quality relationships with their teachers. No? So it's a misconception, no, when you say that the adolescents no longer want to be involved with to have meaningful connections with their parents. Educators can forge deeper relationships with parents by actively seeking their input on how school is working for their children, either by asking teachers to reach out to parents for informal chats or distributing surveys for families to fill out. The school can also help foster positive connections among teachers by setting a few minutes aside during staff meetings for exercises that build relationship. During meetings, let's not talk about problems. Let's not talk about work alone. But for example, let's do a gratitude circle where staff members are given time to reflect on small things their coworkers have done for them recently and to directly thank one another for the favor or kindness. A hallmark of a healthy school climate is one where educators have high academic expectations for all students. Educators assist students in setting meaningful academic goals for themselves and promote a strong academic culture where tertiary education is a goal. However, it's not enough for teachers to constantly talk to students about going to college or following their dreams. Schools must also provide students with the tools they need to meet the expectations they are raising for students. Effective professional development can help educators recognize that if students are to master subject content, they must be developmentally, culturally, and emotionally ready to learn that content while successfully interacting with teachers and peers. So please, educators, let us not ask children to do tasks that are beyond their developmental age. Let's not ask them to do videos, especially when they are elementary students, no, especially in the preschool, no. Let's not tire the parents unnecessarily to actually do the homework instead of having a good time with each other. Okay, I will always say that, no, please, it's difficult, okay, but it is actually seen predominantly in a very traditional school setting, no. I have seen that in traditional schools, and I hope, no, that they will stop, no. Nowadays, they will ask also students to do a video, but then ask to the one that has the most likes will actually be given the highest grade, no. That's not the way to do it. Okay, let's not, if we wanted to stop, no, students from being embroiled in the social media too much, then we will also have to stop asking them to make TikTok videos along the way. Okay? High expectations without support set students up for failure, undermining their confidence. One way of setting a support is by allowing a space in the school schedule to give students the extra time and help that they need. For example, a time can be allotted, one period for each week, to allow students to catch up with things they need to improve on, or for those who are far advanced, for the students to reach their higher potentials. Students can be an effective source of support for peers. Structured classroom meetings, Psychoeducational groups and formal prevention programs can stimulate conversation about mental health, suicide prevention, or situational challenges like supporting a bereaved peer's return to school. For adolescents, the power of the carefully guided peer group can be a source of constructive, life-affirming activities. These interventions can help destigmatize mental health needs. I have 3 boys in school, and my children tend to help diagnose and nudge their classmates to seek help. No? I often wonder, I always check my prescription at one point in time if maybe they are also prescribing medications, no, for their classmates, no. So I always tell them, no, that you have to encourage them to seek help, no, and understand their behaviors as well. Okay. Strategies for helping teachers maintain positive relationships are especially important accommodations for students with mental health disorders. Given that mental health disorders are often invisible and undiagnosed, teachers can misperceive students' intentions as disrespectful or non-compliant when in fact there are other reasons provoking their behavior. Effective interaction strategies, verbal and nonverbal ways of forming relationships, including a calm tone of voice, proximity, the use of humor, the escalating responses to defiance, and gently giving constructive feedback are vital to afford students an opportunity for comfort and success. Teachers need opportunities to expand skills. Professional development should be relevant to practice, connect with school initiatives, and enhance working relationships among teachers. You note, no, that the pandemic was very difficult for us, especially during online learning. No? But do you know who had the most difficult time during that online learning? It's actually the teachers. No? I actually spend time reaching out to teachers, no, in encouraging them, no, that they are doing a good job, because on top of trying their best to ensure that they get the attention of students, they have to readjust their module several times over, no. So kudos to the educators who are still here up for the challenge, no. In fact, if you notice, a lot of teachers, especially in the public schools, no, have retired because they said that they do not want the challenges of online learning. So thank you for all those teachers who are still with us, not still patiently teaching our students. Classroom design is another way to build relationships. Be mindful of the seating arrangement in class. No? Just recently, my second son, no, was raving that, mom, we already got a seating arrangement. And I didn't realize up to that moment how important it is for him about seating arrangements. No? So he said that he was seated near a friend. No? And that teacher made sure, no, that they are seated near a friend, no, at one point in time. So that's a very good way of doing seating arrangements rather than doing it alphabetically for our convenience. Quiet space for reflection, processing, and decluttering their work memory. It would be nice, no, if you have a quiet nook in your school where a person can go if he feels like, no, he is drowning, no, in her own thoughts. Okay? Pay particular attention to physical features such as how clean the building is and whether the lights and fans or air cons work properly, which creates a welcoming environment and demonstrates to students that school leaders care about their comfort. Procedural considerations such as having emergency plans in place, which factor into feelings of safety, can also fall into the school climate bucket, as can community building extracurriculars such as clubs and events. Underneath the robust relationships, high but supported academic expectations, and thoughtful discipline, school leaders who are successful at setting and sustaining a healthy school climate are consistently gathering feedback on how the school community is experiencing school life. This is primarily done by doing surveys to students, staff, and parents a few times a year. Combined with data on discipline, attendance, test scores, and even small focus groups, educators can get a quantitative and qualitative read on the health of the school's environment and how to improve it. Not having data is like trying to fly a plane without any instruments. Without data, one can't know what adjustments need to be made to stay aloft or how far they are from their destination or goals. Data illuminates weaknesses that need shoring up and provides feedback on whether a new intervention is working and improving the school climate. It's important to remember that not all students will experience their school the same way, and that individual students' perceptions of their school environment and culture matter to their learning. Share the data widely, incorporate it into staff meetings, parent meetings, share it in newsletters and town hall meetings to broaden its impact and communicate the importance of building and keeping a positive school climate. But the bottom line is, it is the school authorities who must decide what the definition of a positive climate is for their school, one that is relevant to their community and based on research before they can take steps to strengthen it. So let me end my talk with this line. No? A teacher affects eternity. He can never tell where his influence stops. I should know because I am once a student and was definitely nudged by a very good educator to actually be where I am now. Okay? But being a psychiatrist also, let me also take this opportunity to remind everyone that tomorrow, September 10, is the World Suicide Prevention Day. Okay, so please be reminded with that we would like to actually prevent suicide one person at a time. And how can we do that? By trying to be this one. No? Let us be kind always because we will never know what someone is going through. Thank you very much and good morning.